Thanksgiving is in the rearview mirror. Feast week is over. We take stock to look at who had a successful holiday week and who is maybe full on leftovers on the men's basketball side. Meanwhile, on the women's basketball side, time to take a look at whose stock is up, whose stock is down based off of preseason expectations and what we've seen in the season's opening month. It's all coming up next on Big East Beat. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Big East Beat. We're part of the Big East Energy Network. I'm Matt Janus, host of the Holy Nova podcast, alongside my friend Brian Webster of the Pirate Vibes podcast. No David White tonight. We are recording this on Tuesday night, which means that North Carolina is in the midst of playing Kentucky. If you know David White, he went to North Carolina. You cannot talk to him when those games are going on. So we decided to give him the evening off. We have lots to talk about when it comes to Big East hoops. But first, we want to make sure that we ask you to please like the video. Helps us get in front of more Big East fans, helps us continue the conversation of the most interesting basketball conference in the country. Also, if you haven't yet, what are you doing? Please subscribe to the Big East Energy Network. We're up over 20,000 subscribers now. Want to keep that number moving up and up. We've gotten 1 million views, and we want to start the count to 2 million. So make sure that you tell a friend as well and keep us in front of more fans. Brian, how was the Thanksgiving? We talked last time about our favorite foods and what teams kind of were equating to those foods. Did you enjoy all your Thanksgiving meal?
I definitely did. The green bean casserole, sister still can't cook it. I just want to put that out there. She brought it. I still can't eat it. Sweet potato casserole, loved it. Had leftovers. Typically we don't have leftovers, but my sister brought a friend that made it in Southern person, someone from the South, and the leftovers were pretty good, Matt. Like I'm gonna be honest with you. Like you said, it's not good for leftovers, but it's pretty good.
Really?
It was solid. It was definitely solid. But
Interesting.
I don't know if you know this, but I begged my wife to make pumpkin whoopie pies. I'm not a big pumpkin guy, but do you know what a whoopie pie is? Because that's kind of a Northeast thing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't down here. Like I brought them to my work and everything. Like she made a bunch of them, and like they're like, "What is this? This is the greatest thing ever." So pumpkin whoopie pie, very underrated. So next year we got to incorporate that on the show somehow.
I like that. I don't know who's going to be the whoopie pie, though, because, that's a very distinct taste. You either love that or you hate that, although that's the kind of the case with a lot of Thanksgiving foods. I had a great Thanksgiving, minus the fact I almost cut off my finger, which was not ideal.
I saw that. That was
It was
rough.
quite. It would not stop bleeding for 45 minutes. I'd actually put a baggie on my finger to finish up cooking Thanksgiving dinner, but I was able to make a meal for 14 people. Everybody was happy. I made a 22-pound turkey just to make sure we had some leftovers. So that was dinner on Friday as well. But I will say this, the deal, you have kids as well. When you get in that Thanksgiving family setting and you got multiple families of kids coming, everybody ends up sick the next week. And that's what we're dealing with in the Janus household. It always works that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. My daughter has a little cold. Second day back from school, so it seems like germs spread so fast when your kids end up going to school.
Well, we're trying to fight through it here, and the Big East is trying to fight through it. Let's be honest. It's been a little bit of a struggle so far on the men's side. And they just released the net rankings. The numbers were not ideal for the Big East Conference. Normally, this is the part of the show where I get the opportunity to rant. But my friend David White, who couldn't be here with us tonight, he has a certain subject that he loves to wax poetic about. And quite frankly, it's in his contract to do the Holy Nova show. We have to let him complain about the net. So he put together a little video about his problems with the net.
Hey guys, I just have to say, I'm trying to get into the holiday spirit. I'm trying to be happy, trying to be merry. Christmas is on the way, but I have serious problems with one thing. I have serious problems with a lot of things, but this is the biggest thing. The net rankings are absolutely ridiculous. It's absurd what we do in a sport where we play on a court. The fact is that the first net rankings came out on Monday, and it is crazy to me looking at these things. UConn is 3 spots below Gonzaga. Gonzaga has one quad one win to UConn's two. They both have one quad two win. Unless we're saying that Gonzaga being 2-0 in quad three is that much more impressive than UConn not having any quad three games. It's crazy to me. They both have 3 quad 4 games. I don't understand it. You go down further. The fact that Seton Hall is 10 spots below a team that they just beat by 11 in NC State. What are we doing? Do the games not matter? Seton Hall is at 49. NC State is at 42. So, sorry, 7 spots below NC State. That's absolutely it's atrocious. You have got to be kidding me that's how we're doing it. Do the games matter? Do we play the games on the court? Yes or no? That's the fact of the matter. You look at just the Big East rankings. I think Seton Hall has been done dirty by the net. They are 27 spots below St. John's at 4-3, who's 0-3 in quad one. Seton Hall now has a quad one victory. Again, are quad two and quad three victories that impressive? I didn't think so. I thought it was all about the coveted quad one victory. And I know there are going to be some people who say, hey, it's the beginning of December. This doesn't matter. All that matters is what comes out in March when the committee's sitting down to pick the field of 68. Here's the problem. The net is a system that's designed to build on itself. So if you undervalue a team right now, they have no ability to get out of that echo chamber because the net just assumes that you're a bad team. They do the same thing with conferences where we decide whether a conference is good or bad based off of 6 weeks of basketball. And then the conference can never get out of that good or bad delegation. It's crazy. I hate the net. I think we need to get rid of it. I think we need to go back to the drawing board. Obviously, this, I guess, is better than what we had before, but barely. It just, it's like playing the games don't matter. Georgetown is 121 and Xavier is 114. Is anybody right now saying that Xavier is a better team than Georgetown? Because if they are, I have some land I have some oceanfront land to sell them in Iowa because this is crazy. Absolutely ridiculous. I can't stand it.
I asked David White for 1 minute rant. That was what I asked him for. He gives us 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Let me tell you how many times I have heard that speech via at a bar, at a hotel, on the road, or via my cell phone looking down at it. And you can't argue with a lot of his points. There is some circular logic here. It is very early in the system. That is the one part that he will not even give any credence to, and it will correct itself, but it does set in motion narratives that take hold, and the committee is very open to narratives. If you doubt that, look at the college football playoff rankings, how they have moved all over the place based off of seemingly nothing but public opinion and pressure from conferences.
Sounds like an angry Notre Dame fan. I'm just going to throw that out.
It might be weird that Auburn, a 5-7 team, almost beats Alabama. Alabama moves up. I don't quite understand how that works, but that's a different show. We'll talk about that at another time. The point being that these things start to set narratives, and that is a big deal. And then morons, that's probably not the word I should use. I'm sorry, Jeff. Fools like Jeff Goodman will go out there and start shaping these narratives by using weird metrics that make certain conferences look bad. You know, where he starts talking about the Big East only has a few teams in the top 45, and then he'll broaden it out to top 100 to talk about other conferences, again, to shape these narratives. And so the early season net numbers don't make any sense, and they come into the long-term picture. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing for college athletics. The way we are deciding things right now, it's FUBAR, for lack of a better term. They've got to get this figured out. I agree with David on that. It was a good rant by him, good decision by me to see my rant today.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. My only question to you guys is what replaces it?
Go back to the RPI. Go back to the RPI and use it as a tool, a metric. We're not using the net as actual rankings. We're using it as a way to set up top or quad 1, quad 2, quad 3 stuff, right?
Yeah.
So go back to the RPI and then use computer rankings as a secondary source. Right now, we're trying to combine the two. We basically are trying to combine the RPI and combine the analytics. And it's coming into some weird malconation that just doesn't end up working. I'd rather separate them, go back to the RPI, have your computer metrics, and then kind of find a middle ground of how you bring them together to judge things. Or if you want to create this ranking system that brings them together, then you got to kind of live with that ranking system. You can't just use it as a tool where you pick and choose when it's important and when it's not. That's my biggest issue with it.
I agree. I was puzzled by St. John's being ranked so high, and then Butler being ranked so high, like out of the blue. So like it favored some schools, and it didn't. It was just it's very weird. It's very weird, and I know it's a formula and everything, but it's awkward. And I agree with you guys. I can't even disagree. Like this is a show about me disagreeing with you, and I can't do that. So
right now, it's basically all strength of schedule. I mean, that's where it is. And
but
again,
what's
early.
the strength of the schedule though? At the same time, like what dictates that? Like, is Butler's schedule that impressive to go that they're 7-0? Are they that impressive with the schedule playing SMU and like I don't think their schedule is so like they're played like UConn's schedule is impressive. Like we know those are good teams that they're playing. Do we say that about Butler? And I'm not trying to criticize Butler. You know, Butler's the little engine that could, just like Seton Hall. By the way, David, I love your shirt. I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt because of the great week last week. We'll get to that more, but my whole point is like they're 21 and 23. I think when the initial rankings came out, one team's only beaten lower ranked teams, but they played higher ranked teams, and another one it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm not smart enough, and maybe David with his law degree.
It's this weird combo. St. John's destroyed William and Mary, which is a decent mid-major team. I mean, just that eviscerated them, and then they played good teams and lost close. And so consequently, the computer numbers love them. But that's a weird combination. Again, you're seeming to bring them together when you can kind of have two separate ratings and then judge what you deem most important out of those two things rather than forcing a mold of the two that doesn't seem to be working at all. But again, we all seem to agree, and the NCAA keeps doubling and tripling down on the thing. So it is what it is. The coaches don't love it either. They are concerned about what metrics matter. They think defense is skewed. They don't like the fact that if you're just a great offensive team, you can kind of manipulate the net. They've tried to make some adjustments to account for that, but a lot of coaches are not buying into the adjustments. Whole thing seems like it's a mess to me. That's why David White gives his speech on an almost weekly basis. So if you want to check back in with Holy Nova either next week or the week after, I'm sure you will hear some semblance of that at some point. We're going to have to institute some sort of a rule of how many times he can give that speech per month.
Yeah, well, I guess would it be better if the net rankings came out in January? Like you didn't know until January when conference play happens. Like, is it better then?
Well, it's certainly better. I mean, it's kind of, again, to make the football analogy, the Tuesday show is a disaster now because the committee's just making it up as they go. At least the net rank
6-7 and crazy things. And he's just not that great.
The net ranks, I don't think, are making it up as they go. I mean, I do think that there is a formula that they're following, but I don't necessarily know if we need these snapshots this early. It's not, stats are all about sample size, and this is not a big enough sample size. But at the same time, it's a sport that desperately needs attention, and so this provides some attention, and it's a talking point. It doesn't really mean that much at this stage, except for the narrative stuff that we were discussing, and people like Jeff Goodman spinning it in kind of ways that are a little intellectually dishonest.
I agree. Matt coming in hot 2 weeks off. All right, Matt. Stock up, stock down. We want to talk about women's basketball a little bit more here on the Big East Beat. Obviously, we've got the number one team in the country in the conference, so like we should respect the sport. But the battle for two is going to be very interesting. So we're gonna only 8 teams. I deemed a couple teams not worthy to talk about, and that's no disrespect. It's just we're trying to save you guys time, the people that are tuning in.
And please send your emails to Brian Webster or at Pirate Vibes 89. I had nothing to do with this
all social
decision.
media. Oh, I definitely created this list 100%. Matt, we'll start with UConn. You can go first. Are you going to buy? Are you going to hold stock? Treat it like a stock.
I mean, we were charged with making bold statements coming into the year, right? When we did our season preview, we tried to take a unique take, and
I forgot about this. Thank you for bringing this up.
In an attempt to be extra bold, I really was trying to make my point that the depth of the Big East was greater and that there were a ton of moving parts with this UConn team where I thought maybe they could be gotten a couple times over the course of the season. I know that was insane, but we were trying to be bold. And again, the bigger point was that the Big East was a deeper conference this year. UConn's not losing twice. I mean, it's just not happening. I was accused of being drunk on that show. I promise I had not drank anything but my water and my tea. But I understand why you thought that was an unwise decision after watching the way that UConn's season has played out so far this year. They have played one close game. It was against a top 10 team in Michigan. They pulled it out. Azzi Fudd is shooting. She's 49% from the field right now, Brian. She's 51% from three. She has not missed a free throw. She also has a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio and 2 steals per game. I mean, she is going to be the National Player of the Year. Sarah Strong's averaging 18 or 17 points, 9 rebounds a game. I think they'd like to see her get her perimeter numbers up a little bit. Struggling with her three-point shot right now. That's not going to hurt her at this stage of the season, but that might be something that's a bit of a concern come March, especially in a win-or-go-home. If they're doing a good job against Fudd, they might need her to be able to step up and make those shots. So that is, I guess, something that you could keep an eye on. I'm really looking hard. They got 8 players, though, averaging 7 points per game or more, and that's with Spain and Fudd combining to get 35. So you think, how's there enough points to go around to get to that? Well, it's when you put together efforts like they did on Tuesday night against South Florida. They were up 42-10 in that game. That's a pretty good South Florida program, and they just made them look silly. Their Big East opener, I'm not sure why the Big East decided Xavier was the team to open up with for UConn, but that's what they chose. That was non-competitive, not a surprise. I thought the funniest thing was they're retiring Sue Bird's number. It's only the 3rd number ever to be retired in the great history of that program. And I was reading the release. They didn't even include who is the opponent in the game on Sunday in the release. They just said that there will be a game on Sunday. It's DePaul, in case anybody was wondering. I think UConn will be all right. If you don't buy stock on UConn, you're nuts.
Yeah, you're definitely too late. It's almost like buying the Amazon stock in 1997, right? You should have bought in 1995 when he started and just held it, and now the value's through the roof. All right, I'm going to take Marquette, and I'm going to say buy on this one. And hear me out. In terms of the conference, I think they're going to be fine with the conference. Now, did they help the conference on what they did on the out of conference? Absolutely not. They went 1-3 in the power conference. They got blown out by Minnesota. Minnesota is not a top program in the Big Ten. They're kind of middle of the pack. They got blown out, I believe, by 43 points. It was 90-40. It was something sick. Skylar Forbes, obviously, she was chosen for Big East preseason. She's kind of the bellwether. When she has a bunch of turnovers, they struggle. When she doesn't, they don't. Like she's definitely the name to watch out for. They looked better against Iowa State. They lost by 9. I think they're coming around. I think they're going to be competitive in the conference, but they were supposed to be the number 2 team. Outside of Gino picking Seton Hall, like this was the coach's number 2 pick, and they did not help the conference. And so I'm buying them for the conference, but they definitely have hurt the overall value of the conference.
I mean, if their value is 2, I think I'm selling. I still think they will be a upper echelon Big East.
Well, right
team.
now they're not 2. They're not.
That's what I'm
2.
saying. I don't think they're the second best team in the Big East. Which, to me, to get your money back off of where they were at the beginning of the year, that's kind of where they have to end up.
Yeah, I guess. I'm saying if you're buying or selling right now,
okay. The arrow will point up.
You're buying the dip. You're buying the dip right now. But I definitely agree. if you had stock at the beginning of the season, you're just hoping to recoup your money at this. And I don't know if you are right now.
Yeah, my wife buys all our stocks, so I'm not the greatest expert on this stock market thing. Got Commerce Bank back in the day when now it's TD Bank, so that was my one great thing, and that was all my grandfather. Anyway, let's go to Villanova. They're up next. How about hold? I think hold. At least from where my expectations were coming into the year, I thought Villanova would end up finishing second. I know everybody called me a homer. But my theory was Jasmine Bosco is one of the best players in the Big East. They were bringing in Kylie Watson, the transfer from Notre Dame. She was supposed to be healthy. Denise Dillon was touting this 1-2 combination inside between Watson and Danae Carter. That hasn't come to fruition. Watson is clearly not 100%. They've actually shut her down, waiting to hear word on what that will look like long term. Danae Carter has struggled early in the season. She kind of looks like she did at the beginning of last year, not the player that came on down the stretch in Big East play, the transfer from SEC school that you really had high expectations for, second year removed from the torn ACL. Nova lost close games at home to Fairfield and Princeton. Again, those are two good mid-major programs. I think we mentioned this before, and they'll be NCAA tournament teams, but their games, you got to get at least one of those. They're at home. That's not so good. I'll tell you what was good. 81-59 rout over 25th ranked West Virginia on the road on Monday night. Here's what Villanova did in that game against West Virginia. They never trailed. As a matter of fact, there was one tie the whole game. Nova scored first. West Virginia tied the game. Nova then led the rest of the way. They led double digits for 32 of the final 34 minutes of the game. They had 28 first quarter points, 48 first half points, 68 through three quarters. It was an offensive clinic. Then they got pretty good defensively. They held West Virginia to 24 points in the second half and just 8 in the fourth quarter. Nova didn't turn over the basketball, which has been their biggest bugaboo early in the game. They had no turnovers in the first 6 minutes. They were able to build a 12-point lead as a result. Jasmine Bosco, I would argue that Villanova has one of the top 5 combinations at point guard between their men's and women's basketball program in the country. Freshman Caden Lewis on the men's side, Jasmine Bosco, the sophomore sensation on the women's side. I mean, it's just a pleasure to watch these two kids play. Bosco was arguably at her absolute apex in that win against West Virginia. She had 20 points in the first half, 15 of them in the first quarter. But the wild thing was, it wasn't like she was just looking for hers. She was in complete control, total maestro of the offense. She had 5 first half assists to go along with the 20 points at intermission. And then Bryn McCurry has really stepped up for Villanova. She had been through a lot of injuries, missed all of last season. She's been their second scorer, and I don't think a lot of people saw that coming in. They knew she'd be good. Didn't think she'd be their second best scorer. It's a good sign for the Wildcats. I think that this team has started to finally figure it out, and if Watson can give anything at any point here, that it would be an added bonus. But I think they're ready to go with Bosco running the show, and then McCurry is kind of that number 2 and starting to build up some depth. And keep an eye on Kennedy Henry, the freshman. She had 11 points in that win against West Virginia. She gets better and better every single time she touches the floor.
Definitely one of the teams that as a Seton Hall guy, I've been kind of following and kind of trending because we're all fighting for number 2, right? I'm going to take Georgetown, and I'm going to say sell high right here because I really think they're doing what they're supposed to, right? Like they play Elon, they win 93-57. They play Towson, they win 94-67. They're supposed to kill these kind of teams, right?
They're going to win the CAA.
Yeah, exactly. They beat Sacred Heart by 33. But like the thing about it is like there's 3 players that are averaging 10 points. I know if you look at that's their leading scorers. They're averaging 10 points. I just don't feel like it's sustainable. Rivera is shooting 60% from 3-point. Like Caitlin Clark didn't do that. Like she's not going to end up at 60%. I think it's hot right now. You sell here. They've got a huge game on the 4th. You know this, Villanova, and then they go play Wake Forest, who's 9-0 right now. So over the next week, you're going to be able to tell. But I would sell Georgetown right now because I don't think they're going to go much higher. I did you talked about the show where you said something crazy about UConn. I said something crazy about Georgetown being a top 3 team. I think I was pegged to. Shout out to T on that prediction, but like they're better than what they're supposed to be. than what most people in. If you looked at Pat Madden's preview, he had them in the bottom half. A lot of people had them in the bottom half. Georgetown is going to be one of those teams that you don't want to see, but I don't think they're 2-3 right now. And right now, I think they're the fourth highest team in the net rankings. And I know we already talked about net enough today, but I would say sell Georgetown right now. So,
well, Darnavon says they're going to be better offensively, but can they sustain that rate that they're scoring at? That's the biggest question because they haven't been that years past. I kind of agree, but he is so high on him. Let's see.
Well, the thing that has been impressive, and I know it's George Washington, Towson, and like you said, the Colonial or CAA. Sorry, I'm
Coastal Athletic Association. Don't get me fired. Hey, don't get me fired.
CAA. But like the most impressive thing is that all the opponents are scoring low, right? They're holding them in the 50s and the 40s. They're doing what they're supposed to do. So it's impressive. They struggle with Maryland, but I think everyone struggles with Maryland outside of UConn in this conference. So you can't hold that against them. Now flipping over to Seton Hall, this is a hold. And this was going to be a full bye until tonight. They lost to Princeton by 3. Me and you argued that Seton Hall, Villanova fighting for that number 2 spot here in the conference, back and forth, basically through text, through anything. We've argued more intense on the women's side than the men's side, I would say. But they lost by 3 at Princeton. Was your loss at Princeton or was it at home?
It was home. It was home.
Okay, all right. So I'm taking some credit. I feel better about the loss.
There. Yeah, I understand.
Solace. But they have 4 scores over 13, averaging 13 and 12 points. Eads, Valenzuela, Cudio, and Catalan. Catalan is an all Big East performer, and if you haven't watched her, it's just like Jasmine Bosco. It's special. Like it's special to watch her. Eads is fun to watch at 5'6", and then they got this freshman Zahara Bishop that I can watch her play all the time. It's a different kind of talent there at Seton Hall than Bazzella's typically had. And I think they got NC State this weekend. I'm going to be there in Raleigh. So like, I'm excited to see them firsthand, but it's a big challenge because obviously Princeton was a smaller team and they struggled they got out rebounded tonight. Are they going to struggle even more when the nation's number 3 rebounder is on the NC State team? So I'm going to say hold right now with Seton Hall. I had them pegged at 2. I think you had them pegged at 3 or 4. I'm going to say hold right now.
Is your daughter going to the game right with you?
Oh yeah, my daughter, my wife, my son, everything. They all got their brand new Seton Hall shirts. You know, we had to get Seton Hall shirts to go up there for them, brand new ones for them, because you don't get I can't go in the store down here and get a Seton Hall stuff. So it's like they got an early Christmas present, and my son turns 7. The day we go up there, so he's excited.
Oh, happy
and he gets
birthday.
to skip school.
Happy birthday. It's good to hear you say something nice about your family after you just destroying your poor sister's casserole the last 2
I sleep here.
The question is, will Seton Hall learn the same lessons Villanova learned from that Princeton game? Jasmine Bosco talked about it after the West Virginia game. They got bullied by Princeton size inside, and they needed to make an adjustment. They did against West Virginia. Can Seton Hall make that same adjustment? That's, I think, a big question for Tony Bazzella's team.
I got one question. So you guys are obviously Villanova has played how many games so far?
8 games, 6-2.
Okay, this is Seton Hall's 5th game, and they've had a lot of breaks. And kind of Villanova lost to Princeton kind of in that 5 range after they struggled with the mid-major. You guys lost, and Seton Hall went to double overtime against Fordham. So it's kind of been a similar season. We're just behind you because we just haven't played as many games. But we're going to catch up real quick because we have 4 games in 8 days. So this is a big week for Seton Hall, and we're calling it the gauntlet on Pirate Vibes. So.
Yeah, the Big East going early this year throw me off a little bit. This is a 3-game week for Villanova because I got the Big 5 championship coming up this weekend as well. I kind of forgot about that Georgetown game, if we were being honest. But yeah, that'll be a tough test because that's a sandwich game. You got the Holy War on Sunday for Villanova, so that's a good litmus test for where Villanova and Georgetown are early in the year, and Seton Hall. That what they do against NC State, I think, will say a lot about them as well.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so I'm next. St. John.
Yeah.
St. John's, this is really a perspective thing, Brian. If you think St. John's is a team that is going to exceed what we thought coming into the year? Absolutely buy them. They were picked to finish sixth. They learned some lessons. Second game of the season, 5-point loss at Harvard. Since then, all they've done is win 6 straight games. They got a top 20 win against Oklahoma State. Then they went down to the Cayman Islands. Really impressive against Georgia Tech and Memphis. They came back from 7 down in the fourth quarter of that Georgia Tech game. Brooke Reed, big part of the reason why she has found her own offensively. She's averaging 16 points, 6 rebounds per game, but she's got 20 or more in 3 straight contests. She got 2 double-doubles over that stretch. She knocked down 8 free throws in 8 tries in that fourth quarter comeback against Georgia Tech. So, obviously when you have one player that's capable of putting it in the basket the way Reed is, you're going to be dangerous. And then Samaya Wright, just keep an eye on her, get better and better. 11 points per game, 5 rebounds per contest. She shoots 62%, and she's only playing 20 minutes per game. You talk about efficiency for what she's been able to do in the early part of the year. We know Joe Tartamella can coach. We know he always figures out to be at his best, maybe when expectations are a little bit lower. This maybe is one of those years for St. John's. I still think, though, if you're looking at where they are right now and you're judging, are they this good? I'd have to sell. But if you're asking me, am I buying stock based off of where they were at the beginning of the year? Yeah, I think they're going to be much better than we anticipated.
Yeah, definitely. St. John's is definitely an interesting team. Another interesting team is Creighton, and I think that's your final one, man. Are you buying or selling?
Yeah, it's gone the other way. I'm going to buy them from here. I'm going to sell them from what I thought they were coming into the season. I'm a big Jim Flannery guy. I really thought that he'd be able to get the pieces put together and figure it out. They lost a ton of production from last year's Sweet 16 team, and they replaced them with very talented kids, but freshmen. And that's hard. And they've taken some lumps here in the early going. I mean, they got beaten in the opener right away, soundly by South Dakota State, got crushed by Nebraska. That's a tough loss to in-state program by 34. Close losses to UNLV and Northern Iowa. They're off to a 2-4 start. They do have a really impressive freshman in Neely Gessert. Big bright spot coming off the bench. She's averaging 12 points per game. That's in 20 minutes per game, too. These kids are really scoring at a pretty efficient clip. She's shooting 38% from 3. That's the good news. The bad news is the rest of Creighton's team combined is shooting 30% from the perimeter. They got to pick that up. They've got to start to make some shots. Somebody outside of Gessert has got to be able to knock them down if they're going to be the type of team that we expect Creighton to be. I think everybody thought they would take a little bit of a step back. I don't know if we thought they would take this dramatic of a step back. And so far, disappointing. I still trust Flannery. I think that they will get it together here down the stretch.
Hot take. The most disappointing school when you combine the men and the women is Creighton.
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry, Casey. Casey's a great listen here, or a follower of the show. My last one is Butler, and I've kind of dived into this team because Seton Hall plays them this week. So I was kind of interested. Are their numbers great? No, they're not. But I'm buying that they're going to be a tough out for the Big East. They lost early on. They're 4-4 right now, but they lost to Columbia in overtime by 5. They lost to Central Michigan. Not the greatest losses, right? Columbia is a bubble team.
Columbia is a good mid-major program. Yep.
They are. And the last bracketology, and I know it's way too early on ESPN, they were the last team in. So their resume is still pretty solid. But they were turning over the ball, right? They had 29 turnovers against Columbia, 23 against Central Michigan. Even in their win against Northern Kentucky, which they won by 17, they turned over the ball 22 times. It was, but it's gotten better. The last week they lost to Georgia by 30, but they had 16.
Nowhere to go, but better. But yeah, I agree.
It's moving in the right direction. They beat Butler. I mean, they beat Dayton by 28 points, and it was 17 turnovers. It's not 30. It's not 25.
For sure.
Yep. So the ball hand, it seems like Parkinson's figuring something out over there. Lily Zenstra is an interesting character or player here. Could be someone, and I hate to say this so early, and it's the old school in me is not liking this. This could be a transfer portal kind of get for one of the bigger programs. If Butler doesn't take a giant step forward. That's definitely, and then they got the twin sisters, the Jackson sisters. They're both averaging 9 points. Pretty solid team, but I'm buying from where they were projected at the beginning of the season, and right now they're in the middle of for RPI. They're right in the middle of the Big East. So there's 4 teams worse than them. So, like, obviously, it hasn't been a horrendous start. Butler, I guess you could say, has been surprising on both men and women. The complete opposite of Creighton.
Yeah, everybody keeps saying that it feels like Butler has better pieces. Maybe they
Yeah.
finally do this year. That'd be good. Again, same thing on the women's side that we've talked about on the men's side. They need more depth in the middle, and then the bottom has got to rise. You can't
Yeah.
be as bad as they have been. And now some of the other teams that we did not talk about have some issues, and we will talk about them in future editions of a Big East beat. DePaul, especially, is off to a really slow start on the women's side. All right, let's switch things up here.
Just like DePaul's biggest fan on our YouTube comments is the Chicago great KB Brand, and now here is the comment of the week. Comment of the week comes from KB Brand. Someone else, please leave a comment, just so we don't always have to. KB Brand leaves the best ones. We get comments and they're great, but like
you keep picking KB Brand.
No, the comment of the comment of the week is kind of like the comic relief in between two. It's the fun portion. So like, make it fun, make it creative. I think we highlighted one a couple weeks ago when they talked about the real estate. Right, do something like that. Put some effort into the comment. Right. Like KB Brand. KB Brand said, I hope David's Thanksgiving meal was better than his bad takes. David catching strays, even when he's not here. It's always great to see. When I saw this comment, it actually came on this evening. So when I saw this, I was like, I'm using this. So
hey, let me just tell you, he sent us a picture of his deep fried turkey. My roasted turkey looked better. I thought he overdid it a little bit. Looked a little dry to me.
I had a smoked turkey for Thanksgiving. So
that sounds good. I'm not gonna lie to you. That sounds good.
Yeah, different style for each of us. But comment of the week: like, share, subscribe. You can be featured on here, and you can replace KB Brand. All right, we're going to the men's side. Peace Week and more recap. So we're going to do a little differently here. We've got the most current up to about 9:30 Eastern on December 2nd net rankings, because they're so fluid. I'm going to enlarge it here, but first of all, I don't know if you know this, Matt. Connecticut won by 5.
Yes. I don't know if you know this. I had it on the bottom of the screen while we were doing the first part of the show.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So Connecticut's still obviously the cream of this conference. And I don't know if it's close. And I think that's bad for the conference. It's just like on the women's side. I think it's bad for the conference. Is there anyone that I'm not saying UConn's going to go undefeated. I'm just saying, is there anyone that's going to make it a race? Like, we need a race, right? For this conference after the out of conference.
I don't know if we're going to get one. I mean, I think I think St. John's will get better over the course of the year. St. John's has showed potential, and that's really good competition that they have been playing against. And it's not like they're losing any of these games by wide margins. I think St. John's will be closer to the team that we thought they would be coming into the year by the end of the season. But I think UConn is also every bit the team that we thought they'd be. And remember, they are all kinds of injured right now. They lost that game to Arizona without 2 critical pieces. They're just kind of piecemealing it together, getting a piece here and there. Just a big-time win tonight against Kansas. I mean, to be able to get, on Tuesday night, we're recording this on Tuesday night against Kansas, to be able to get that one 61-56, and to be able to get it without Terrace Reed again. I mean, Terrace Reed's the guy that Hurley said they cannot do this without him. And yet they're beating top 20 teams on the road without him. And I give a lot of credit to Eric Ryba, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the credit that the UConn coaching staff deserves. I don't know how much they were planning on playing Ryba this year, to be blatantly honest. They looked at him as kind of more of a long-term project, and here he is filling in against a team like Kansas, scored 12 points on 8 shots, grabbing 8 rebounds, just doing a little bit of everything, couple steals, couple blocks. They just find a way. It's very impressive, and I also need to apologize. The point guard didn't have a very good game tonight. 4 assists, 3 turnovers, only 2 points. but he's much better than I thought he was going to be. I mean, I thought we would see many more performances like this from him than what we have seen from him so far this year. I mean, he's got triple-double already under his belt. He's been dominant in performances. The Arizona game that they lost, I thought he was fantastic. So if you have a point guard and then those bigs that UConn has, I don't think anybody's going to really get all that close to UConn.
Wait. So you need a point guard? You need a point guard. Like is Matt Janus saying you need a point guard?
Yeah, the positionless basketball that Rick was espousing.
Because that's got to be
some holes.
That's got to be the disappointing team, right? Like I get the slow start. I definitely get the slow start, but every single big game, it seems like it's a slow. Like they got punched in the face every single big game this year, and that's not a Rick Pitino. I think they're struggling. It's terrible when you have 5 guys that basically play the same position, and you could call it positionless, but like they don't have a dog that's going to lead the way with the ball in his hand. And St. John's definitely. Would you say St. John is the biggest disappointment on the men's side, or do you think that's Creighton? Disappointment. I think it's. Of course, I picked Creighton to finish second.
I was about to say. I think St. John's. I mean, they have 3 losses. They have played elite competition. They have been close in each game. They have big time problems defensively. They break down in bad moments on the offensive end. I still trust Pitino to get it figured out. I feel better about St. John's long-term prognosis. Now, do I think they're a Final Four team anymore? No, I do not. And so does that make them, by proxy, a big disappointment? Yes, because I think most people thought they would either be a Final Four team or a Final Four competitor. And right now they don't look like a Final Four capable team. We'll see if Pitino can get them there. Creighton doesn't look like an NCAA tournament team right now. And I know the Creighton fans will tell you that it's going to be a process. They will be fine eventually. But look at those net numbers. Unless we think Seton Hall is going to be able to sustain this and Villanova is the real deal and they're going to keep creeping up the net, there's not going to be very many Q1 opportunities in conference play. And Creighton, I mean, that's going to be a tough resume to try to build when you have losses, lopsided losses, and then you're kind of relying on Big East play to get those wins that you're going to need. I'm worried for Creighton right now. I think McDermott is a good enough coach that he will piecemeal this together and sneak them into the tournament, but it's not going to be easy. And I would offer one more option. I didn't see this from Marquette. I really didn't. I can't believe the start to the season that they've put out, to be blatantly honest. I just thought that Shaka Smart would figure it out in the regular season. I knew that there would be issues early. This is a mess. I mean, they almost lost to Valparaiso on Tuesday night. They were losing the entire game. Credit to Marquette for getting that game to overtime and figuring out a way to win it, but it's Valpo. Come on. Let's go, guys. It's time to start to pick it up a little bit. You're looking 9th or 10th the way they look right now in this conference. I mean, DePaul has shown a higher ceiling, in my opinion, right now than Marquette has at this stage of the year.
Marquette got the benefit of the doubt in a lot of people's opinion, being middle of the pack at the very worst because of Shaka and what he's done at Marquette over his tenure there. Another team that's disappointing is Providence, right? Providence just you pointed out every single week they can't win outside of the state of Rhode Island. Doesn't matter what they do, and they beat a Fairleigh Dickinson team by 30 points, I think, tonight. I don't know. First of all, SVP Sports Center is great on Monday night after the Monday night game, right? It's always great, and I'm a Patriots fan, so it was definitely great last night, right? But the bad beats. I don't know if you saw this with Fairleigh Dickinson. They had the over and under. It was like 16 points away with like 40 seconds to go. So, and Fairleigh Dickinson took it over the top and actually against Army, and they got the 17 points in the last 40 seconds because they had double technicals and all that, and it was just it really was a bad beat. But anyways, Providence wins by 30 points. Kim English, I think, is on the hottest seat possible. It's kind of crazy that Providence Georgetown net ranking. They're married together all the time. Excuse me. It doesn't matter where they go. But I'm shocked by this. That Providence ranking is only 3 better as of 9:30 this evening than Georgetown. because I think Georgetown just has a better feel, right? Like everyone's talking highly of Georgetown until this past weekend, but like Georgetown, it feels like they're going somewhere. Providence, if Marquette wasn't in this conference, would definitely be the most disappointing team. Wouldn't you agree? I guess they're both. Providence was picked for the coaches to be fourth, so I guess technically Providence is the bigger disappointment so far. But
look, I already have really come pretty close to getting harshly rebuked by Friar Nation, and they take this very seriously. So I want to tread quite carefully here. I believe that there was some laughing though from yours truly when I saw Providence pick fourth by the coaches. I told you I thought that the great sports information staff at the Big East Conference, my heart broke for them. I thought they had made a mistake on the release when I saw it. I still can't fathom how they were picked to finish fourth. I just think that was a miss. I didn't think, though, they would struggle like this. They got to figure this road thing out. I just don't understand it. It's just as good a home court advantage as that is, you can't be completely useless when you leave the state of Rhode Island. You've got to get that addressed. It's been 3 years now. Even the season they were successful 2 years ago, the reason they didn't make the tournament was because of their road neutral site record. And the committee cares about that. And more importantly, the net cares about that. So that's going to be a problem for Providence. I do want to push back on one thing real quickly on the Georgetown side. I think their net is so low, quite frankly, because look, they have a win over Maryland, and we were impressed by that initially. I think Maryland stinks, is what we're starting to learn. Buzz is going to take a while to rebuild that. And then they have played Binghamton, Morgan State, Wagner. Those are terrible teams. I mean, bad bottom of mid-major basketball type teams. And then you do have the very impressive win against Clemson. And credit to Georgetown for being able to get that victory. It was the one game where they made 3-point shots. You lost to Dayton in overtime. I was impressed by that. I know other people didn't seem to be quite as impressed by that. Look what Dayton did against BYU. I think that to me might have been Georgetown's most impressive game, it coming in a loss. But then the Miami game, I know that it only ended up a 13-point loss. It wasn't anywhere near a 13-point game. That was just so disappointing, and it reeked of years past. And it just felt like such a huge step back. I am still largely concerned by Georgetown. They're shooting 28% as a team from three-point range. I don't think their pieces are good enough to be able to overcome that level of shooting. I just don't. I mean, do you?
No, I definitely agree. Shooting matters, and I think my boys, I put on a little lay because we're in Hawaii. My boys have shot well, right? AJ State and McCray in Hawaii against North Carolina State, against USC, against Washington State. Like, they shot the ball well. AJ State and McCray was the Big East Player of the Week last week. Who would have thought Seton Hall player, not named Najee Hines or Bud Clark, would have gotten this award sometime this year? Definitely, I know Butler is ranked higher, but I would say Seton Hall is the bigger surprise. I think everyone pegged them at 11. They're one bad call away from winning Maui. I don't care if they still had to beat Arizona State, because if there's one thing Seton Hall does, it's beat Hurley's teams, right? He beats Danny Hurley every year and everything. And a shout out to one of the Twitter accounts saying at least the UConn loss to Seton Hall won't sting as much this year. It won't hurt. It won't hurt as much this year. Seton Hall has definitely been the surprise, and this team is fun to watch. It's 100% effort all the time. It seems like they're all together. They're like, there's the culture mattered. And Shaw, and you talked about it, how Shaw seemed like he quit last year. Those guys didn't click with Shaw. These guys are Shaw's guys. And I just think that matters more to Shaheen Holloway than most coaches. That you get 10, 11 guys that buy in. He still plays 10, 11 guys all the time. One guy gets hurt, right? Felton gets hurt. Guess what? Rivera just comes up and gets his minutes, right? Like it doesn't make a difference. Now, am I expecting them to win the Big East or compete? No. It's cool right now to think of the idea of them being on the bubble after last year. And, as the season goes on and maybe they get more and more impressive, I'll start talking a little bit more trash, but I'm going to stay humble right now.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Do you think that they are a tournament team?
I think they can be. They have to beat Kansas State, right, on Saturday. And I Kansas State just lost to Bowling Green last night.
They're looking
Like they
ahead
have
to Seton Hall. Seton Hall's a heavyweight now. That's a sandwich game.
but like they got to beat Villanova, right? Like that game against Willard's return is even bigger for Seton Hall's momentum. They've got to beat like a St. John's. I'm the hot take here, but I think Seton Hall's better than Butler. I've said it all season. Butler's got the high ranking, and I'm not crapping on Butler at all because they've been impressive. They've been impressive, but I just like my guys. It would be great for them to fight to be in the bubble in February. If they're still considered a bubble team in February, I'll take it as a win.
Am I doing this show with Brian Webster or am I doing this show with young Owen? You got an I Like Us shirt on over there?
No, I got just the Hawaiian because we listen, we weren't supposed to ever, and I tell Patrick, my co-host, all the time, we weren't ever supposed to have the week in the conference. Like you might have
carry the conference during feast week, no doubt.
Exactly. While St. John's is getting there and Creighton are losing in Vegas, we're one call away from being in the championship in Maui.
Kudos.
And one terrible call.
Big week for Seton. I did not think that was that was a miscarriage of justice. I do think it was a bad call. I do think Patrick was very wound up. I love Pirate vibes. I love watching Patrick very wound up. I agree it was a bad call. I thought maybe it was a little overstated in terms of the miscarriage of justice, but I understand. And
hey man, we just lived through a 7-25 season. We're that close. We're that close of tying. Right now, we have the same amount of wins as we did all of last year. We're that cool. One call away from beating it before Thanksgiving. Which, if you ask any Seton Hall fan, 100 Seton Hall fans, 99 are going to say no. We're not going to get 7 wins by the end of November. And here we are. We were 7-1. So I'll take it and just enjoy the season.
All right, one last team. I was about to say one last team we got to get to is Villanova.
We got to have a good 5-minute segment of Caden Lewis. Like if Janus is on the screen, you're either going to hear about Jasmine Bascal or Caden Lewis, the best point guards in America.
I mean, come on, can you find me 5 more teams that have a better combination, men's, women's?
I was listening to that today, and I was like, I'm going to create a list sometime. And I didn't get time. I was going to go through all the big schools. Maybe I'll have it for next week.
The funny thing is, I was about to ready to get carried away and say the best of the Big East. Then I said, whoa, let's just pump the brakes here a little bit. So I tempered it. But look, Caden Lewis against Temple the other night, he has 8 assists, no rebounds. He's got no turnovers. 8 assists, no turnovers. He had 5 rebounds. He had 12 points. I think he has to start to score the ball more for Villanova long term. I think that he is their most dynamic creator, especially off the bounce. They're going to need him against better teams. They've got to get him to be a more consistent scorer. He's doing everything else, though. He may be scoring at a little less clip than I anticipated at this stage of the season. He is playing point guard at a light years higher level than I thought that we would see at this stage of his career. I mean, he really is the floor general. After a rough first game against BYU, he took the lessons from that. He had major foul trouble in the first half. It was first game he ever played at the college level in foul trouble. He only played 8 minutes in that first half of the game against Temple, and then he comes out and he just completely controls the game in the second half. That being said, Nova's got 2 problems right now. They are a streak shooting team. Fortunately, they have had one guy knock down threes in every game, and that's kind of carried them outside of the Sacred Heart game where they set the school record as they just rained threes in from everywhere. They have had one guy in the Temple game. It was Tyler Perkins. Bryce Lindsey has taken his turn doing it. We saw Devin Askew have a game. They've got to start to hit 2 guys that are knocking down threes at minimum in these games. They got to get Matt Hodge going a little bit higher clip than what we have seen from him. He's been too up and down. They got to get healthier too. I mean, they've had a lot of guys in and out of the lineup. They're not playing as fast as I think Kevin Willett was anticipating coming into the year because of the moving parts. But they've got one of the best rebounders in the country in Duke Brennan, who got 14 and 8 against Temple on basically one leg. I mean, he's still playing with a severely sprained ankle. They're going to win the Big Five. I think they play Penn to win the Big Five championship. That's the Philadelphia City series on Saturday at the Philadelphia arena that they're now calling the Xfinity Mobile. I still can't remember that. Listen, you'd say, I mean, who's in the Big Five? Is that really? I mean, first of all, they can't even count. There's 6 teams in the Big Five. But remember, Villanova finished 6th in the Big Five during the Kyle Neptune era. So it's a big deal. And as Kevin Willard said after the game against Temple, we got to learn to win again. We've got to learn to win on a championship stage. It's a big deal for us. They didn't play in a tournament. They were already locked into an on-campus event that they were playing where it was just 3 games against mid-majors. So they're going to start to ramp up here. They've got a game against Michigan. They've got a game against Wisconsin. Pitt isn't going to be the game that they hoped it was going to be coming into the year. They're dreadful, but they've got to win that game. It would be really nice if they could steal one against either Michigan or Wisconsin. Got to be competitive in both. I don't know if you're going to be able to be. It depends which Michigan team showed up. The one the first 3 weeks of the season or the one the last 3 weeks that looks like the best in the country. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm cautiously optimistic with where Villanova is right now, even though they haven't been tested all that much.
Yeah, I agree. I just like our team. I didn't think there would be any time that Seton Hall would be ahead of you guys in the net ranking and Kevin Willard. So Kevin coming to the Prue Center, the Rock will be awesome on festival. So like I can't wait for that. Big East play. Real quick, shout out to Paul and Xavier. Xavier's going to get better as the season goes on. I really do think so. I think Santa Clara doesn't look like a terrible loss right now. Like it just doesn't. I know it was a 20-point loss and it's bad for the Big East.
Yeah, it was how it happened.
And then losing to Iowa. Iowa seems they seem like they could be a pretty good team in the Big Ten. Losing to Georgia by 1. First of all, I live in Georgia. I see a lot of Georgia basketball. Georgia can't shoot. All you have to do is play a zone, and all they want to do is dunk and get out front. And Patino did it, and they executed in Charleston, and they only lost by 1 point. And then they come back and they beat West Virginia 2 days later. So, and they're beating Corpus Christi and St. Francis like they're supposed to. Look, Cincinnati's Friday.
I was just about to say, look, man, I've been interacting with Cap on the Roll Blob show a little bit and on social media. And every time I do, Cincinnati fans jump into my mentions. And I got very, very little to do with Xavier. If you say anything nice about Xavier, the Cincinnati folks come out of the sewers. I mean, that fan base is nasty. You knew that rivalry was heated, but just kind of getting a little inside peek about how heated and how 24/7, 365 it is. I can't wait to watch that one. I got that circled on the calendar. We're all Xavier fans that day.
Yeah, definitely. And a good thing about Xavier is out of their first 5 games in the Big East, it's Creighton, it's Georgetown, which is attainable. It's UConn, okay, whatever. It's DePaul, it's Marquette, it's Providence. They take on all the teams that are below them in the RPI, basically, right off the jump. So if they can get some momentum and keep building, and they're supposed to beat them, right? In this net ranking, like they're supposed to beat these teams that are lower than them. So they got to take care of business. And now Xavier, by the middle of January, is looking pretty good. So.
We'll see. I'm still skeptical, but we'll see. It's slow, steady improvement. And they're not, look, they quit in that Santa Clara game. The Roll Blob guys were great. I mean, go if you want to hear about what they did. Kenny,
the live shows are great. That's the only way to do it.
You're talking about going on an impassioned rant and a speech that should get everybody fired up. His talk after that Santa Clara game, because wearing the X matters. He did it. We've talked about it. He did it. And you could tell how much that bothered him. I just thought that was such a good impassioned play. And his team, I don't know if maybe somebody got it to him because they've been playing with more passion since then. That's a good sign. DePaul is an absolute roller coaster. We see the improvement that you and I discussed in the preseason. You see it in bursts. I mean, they almost beat Northwestern. They had 2 good wins down there in the holiday tournament. Then they get absolutely destroyed in the championship game. I mean, literally, I don't think they showed up. It's a weird team right now. It is very up and down. They either are like a very competent offense or a team that's never practiced together before. There is literally no middle ground with DePaul offensively. They're always going to defend, except for in that championship game over the course of the weekend. Offensively, it's hit or miss, but it's still better than last year because it was always miss. It was Dave Kingman. They struck out so much last year offensively.
I still think it's safe to say that they're going to finish 10th or worse in this conference for the 11th straight year.
Hey, have you watched Providence or Marquette play? I don't know if that's
I just feel like one of those. I guess I'm giving Shaka the benefit of the doubt. I feel like Shaka is going to be able to figure it out to be 8th, 9th in the conference. DePaul's still going to be worse. Providence might be below him, but I'm just saying. DePaul is going to hit 10th or 11th. I love the show. the pod. I love the pod, but I'm sorry, guys. It's not going to be great.
Tough on him. Look, the pod. I might as well be your honorary third guest because nobody has talked more about how good
definitely
going to be. And I jumped off that bandwagon for one show, and then they showed me. I gave it. Look, I inspired him. I brought him back. I was like, guys, you broke my heart, and they responded for 2 days, not the third, but for 2 days they were there. That was fun. I had my in-laws watching DePaul basketball. I was like, this is the team I said they were going to be.
Chicago. I guess you have a tie to Chicago, right? Eagles fan, right?
I'm all in on DePaul. I want DePaul. I want us all in the Big East to be happy. DePaul deserves happiness too.
Fair enough. All right, David's not here. Matt, you said before show that you would have a pondering thought.
Yes.
Did you come up with one?
On December the 3rd, is that too soon to be wearing a Christmas sweater? Seems like it is. No? I mean, Christmas decorations, they're fair game the moment Thanksgiving ends. But December 3rd, full Christmas sweater, that's what David White rolls in. I mean, I've barely cracked open the kids' advent calendars. He's going full Christmas sweater already. Way too soon, no?
I don't own a Christmas sweater. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm the complete opposite. But I'm wearing Hawaiian shirts in December, and it's 50. I know it's very warm compared to where you guys have right now, but it's 50 degrees down here. Like I'm living in like the Hawaiian dream. So I'm not going to criticize Dave. I think if he wants to be in the spirit, he wants to be in the spirit. He's got young kids, right? You got to be in the spirit. I have a ton of birthdays in my family, so like we're not really Christmas people until like all the birthdays get out of the way. Like it's back to back with nieces and nephews. My wife, all that. It's a busy month for us. So maybe that's the reason why I don't own a Christmas sweater, because I'm not in the Christmas mood until like December 20th.
I mean, I'm always in the Christmas. Christmas is my birthday, so I mean, it's really the only day I got celebrate. I mean, that's the only day I got presents my entire life. So I mean, it's a big day for me. I only had winter clothes growing up. I never got any summer clothes because that's when you get your clothes when you're a kid. But look. It's too soon. It's too soon. Leave it in the comments if you agree. Come on. I know there are lots of you that love to rip David. Be with me on this. December 3rd, way too soon for that kind of sweater.
Fair enough. We'll find out, because I really don't know. First of all, wearing a sweater in the South, it just doesn't make sense most of the year. So I guess that might be part of it.
David thinks
75 degrees on Thanksgiving. Like we considered going to the beach after dinner. So we considered, but I didn't want to drive that far.
Wow. Well, we are in December, which means we are in the thick of the season. We will be back next week. We appreciate you being a part of the show as always. For David White, Brian Webster, I'm Matt Janus. This has been Big East Beat.